Mary Watson was a 64-year-old artist who lived in a quaint brownstone in Manhattan, New York. Her days were a mix of painting landscapes, hosting small art exhibitions, and enjoying coffee at her favorite cafe down the street. Mary had lived a fulfilling life. She had traveled the world, raised 2 wonderful children, and now embraced the solitude of her golden years with grace. But what she didn't expect was that her heart still had room for surprises. And that's where we'll take a quick break. Before we continue, if you haven't already, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the bell icon to stay updated with our latest content. Also, let us know in the comments below what you think. Your feedback really helps us. Now, let's dive back in. One breezy autumn morning, Mary walked into her favorite cafe, the Blue Willow. The place was bustling with its usual mix of regulars and tourists. Mary ordered her usual, a cappuccino and a slice of lemon loaf, and settled near the large window overlooking the busy street. As she opened her notebook to sketch, a soft voice interrupted her thoughts. "Excuse me, is this seat taken?" Mary looked up to see a young man, perhaps in his mid-20s, with a kind face and an eager smile. He held a steaming cup of coffee and a laptop. She gestured to the empty chair across from her. "Please go ahead," Mary replied. The man introduced himself as Daniel Hayes, a 25-year-old freelance writer who had recently moved to the city. He was working on a travel blog and had chosen the cafe for its peaceful ambience. Over the next hour, their polite exchanges turned into a lively conversation. They talked about art, literature, travel, and the changing seasons in New York. Mary was surprised by Daniel's depth and maturity, while Daniel was captivated by Mary's wisdom and vibrant spirit. As the weeks went by, their casual cafe encounters became intentional meetings. Daniel admired Mary's paintings and began visiting her studio, offering her fresh perspectives on her work. Mary, in turn, became Daniel's sounding board for his writing, sharing insights from her own life experiences. Their bond grew stronger, rooted in mutual respect and a shared love for creativity. One evening, as they walked through Central Park under a canopy of golden leaves, Daniel hesitated before speaking. "Mary, I know this might sound unusual, but I've never felt this kind of connection with anyone before. You make me see the world in a way I never thought possible." Mary stopped walking and looked at him, her heart pounding. She had felt the same but had pushed the thought away, convincing herself it was just friendship. After all, their age difference was significant, and society had its judgments. "Daniel," she began, choosing her words carefully, "I value our friendship more than anything. But what you're saying, it's not easy for me to process. There's so much to consider." Daniel nodded, understanding her hesitation. "I'm not asking for anything more than honesty. If you don't feel the same, I'll respect that. But I needed you to know." Mary took a deep breath and admitted the truth she had been avoiding. "You've brought so much light into my life, Daniel. I didn't think I'd feel this way again, but here we are." From that moment, they decided to embrace their feelings but tread carefully, knowing the road ahead wouldn't be simple. They faced judgment from outsiders, people who couldn't understand their connection. Mary's children were initially shocked but eventually came to see that Daniel genuinely cared for their mother. Over time, their love became a source of inspiration for others. Mary's paintings started reflecting a newfound joy, and Daniel's writing gained a depth that resonated with his readers. They celebrated their differences and cherished the moments they shared, proving that love wasn't confined by age or societal norms. As Mary stood in her studio one evening, painting a vibrant sunset, Daniel walked in with a bouquet of daisies, her favorite. "Dinner's ready," he said with a warm smile. Mary turned to him, her heart full. "Daniel, you've given me a second chance at happiness. I never thought I'd have that. And you've shown me what it means to truly live," he replied. Their love story wasn't conventional, but it was theirs, a testament to the power of connection and the courage to follow one's heart. Facing the world together. As their relationship deepened, Mary and Daniel found themselves navigating uncharted territory. They knew their love would be scrutinized by society, but they chose to prioritize their happiness over the opinions of others. Daniel introduced Mary to his friends, many of whom were initially curious but soon saw the genuine connection between the two. Mary's wisdom and grace made her a favorite among Daniel's circle, and her stories about traveling the world and navigating life inspired them. Meanwhile, Daniel's youthful optimism and creativity brought a fresh perspective to Mary's art exhibitions. Together, they became a team, supporting each other's passions and dreams. Meeting Mary's children. One of the biggest hurdles in their relationship was introducing Daniel to Mary's children, Claire and Andrew. Both in their 30s, they were fiercely protective of their mother. When Mary told them about Daniel, the news was met with shock and skepticism. "Mom, are you sure about this?" Claire asked during their family dinner. "He's so young. What do you even have in common?" Mary smiled, her voice steady. "Claire, I understand your concerns. But Daniel has brought joy into my life in ways I never thought possible. Our connection is more than just age." Andrew, who had been silent, finally spoke. "If he makes you happy, Mom, that's what matters. But I hope he knows how lucky he is." Daniel, sensing the tension, took the opportunity to speak. "Claire, Andrew, I know this is unconventional, and I won't pretend to understand how it feels from your perspective. But I want you to know that I care deeply for your mother. She's an incredible person, and I'm committed to making her happy." Over time, Claire and Andrew softened. They saw how Daniel treated Mary, with kindness, respect, and admiration, and began to accept him as part of their family, building a life together. Mary and Daniel's days were filled with small joys. They spent weekends exploring the city, visiting museums, and attending jazz concerts. Daniel encouraged Mary to publish a book of her artwork, and Mary pushed Daniel to turn his travel blog into a full-fledged book. Their support for one another became the foundation of their life together. But not everything was easy. Mary occasionally struggled with self-doubt, questioning whether their relationship would stand the test of time. "Daniel," she confessed one evening, "what if one day you realize you want something different? Someone who can give you a future I can't?" Daniel took her hands in his. "Mary, I chose you because of who you are, not what you can or can't give me. The future is uncertain for everyone. What matters is that we have now, and I wouldn't trade it for anything." Defying expectations. Their story gained attention beyond their immediate circle when a journalist at an art event overheard their story. Soon Mary and Daniel found themselves featured in a local magazine under the headline, "Love Knows No Age, A Tale of Courage and Connection." The article brought mixed reactions. Some applauded their bravery, while others criticized their relationship. But Mary and Daniel stood strong, using the opportunity to advocate for breaking societal stereotypes about age and love. A proposal of the heart. One snowy winter evening, as they walked through Bryant Park's holiday market, Daniel surprised Mary by stopping in front of a small jewelry stall. He pulled out a simple silver ring and knelt down, his eyes filled with emotion. "Mary Watson, you've changed my life in ways I never imagined. I want to spend whatever time we have, whether it's a year, a decade, or a lifetime, by your side. Will you marry me?" Tears welled in Mary's eyes. She hesitated for a moment, overwhelmed by the gesture. Then, she nodded, her voice trembling. "Yes, Daniel. 1,000 times yes." The crowd around them erupted in applause as Daniel slipped the ring onto her finger. It wasn't about the extravagance of the proposal or the ring. It was about the love they shared and the commitment they were making to one another. Happily ever after. Mary and Daniel didn't have a traditional wedding. Instead, they hosted an intimate ceremony in Mary's art studio, surrounded by her paintings and the people who mattered most to them. The vows they exchanged were simple but heartfelt, a promise to cherish and support one another for as long as life allowed. Their story became a source of inspiration for others, proving that love isn't confined by age, expectations, or societal norms. Mary and Daniel continued to live their lives with passion and purpose, showing the world that the heart truly knows no boundaries. The first spark of romance. It was a chilly November evening, and New York City was draped in twinkling holiday lights. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of roasted chestnuts from street vendors and the soft hum of carolers in the distance. Mary and Daniel had planned an evening at the Bryant Park Winter Village, a place Mary loved for its quaint holiday charm. Mary wore a long, elegant coat, a scarf wrapped snugly around her neck. Daniel, with his youthful energy, insisted on carrying their shopping bags as they strolled past the small, decorated stalls. Their conversation flowed effortlessly, as it always did, moving from Daniel's latest travel blog ideas to Mary's favorite holiday memories from her childhood. After wandering for a while, they came across the ice skating rink. Daniel's eyes lit up. "Have you ever skated before?" he asked, turning to her with an excited grin. Mary laughed, shaking her head. "Not since I was a teenager. I'm afraid I'd be more likely to fall than to glide." "Then we have to try," Daniel said, his enthusiasm contagious. "I promise I won't let you fall." Before she could protest, he was leading her to the rental counter. Minutes later, they stepped onto the ice, Mary holding onto Daniel's arm tightly for balance. At first, she wobbled, her legs unsteady, but Daniel was patient, guiding her step by step. "You're doing great," he encouraged, his voice warm and steady. As they found their rhythm, Mary began to relax, even laughing as Daniel twirled her playfully. For a moment, she felt like a young girl again, free of worries and full of life. The rink's twinkling lights reflected in her eyes, and Daniel couldn't help but notice how radiant she looked. When they finally stepped off the ice, cheeks flushed and hearts racing, Daniel suggested warming up with hot chocolate. They found a cozy bench near the park's Christmas tree, a towering display of ornaments and lights. As they sipped their drinks, a comfortable silence fell between them. Daniel broke it first. "Mary, you have this incredible way of making the simplest moments feel extraordinary. Tonight, this has been one of the best nights of my life." Mary looked at him, her heart skipping a beat. There was something in his eyes, an intensity, a sincerity, that she hadn't noticed before. For a moment, she felt vulnerable, unsure of what to say. "Daniel, she began, but he gently reached for her hand, his fingers warm against hers. "You don't have to say anything," he said softly. "I just want you to know how much you mean to me." The world seemed to fade away as they sat there, the glow of the Christmas tree casting a soft light over them. It was then, in that quiet, magical moment, that Mary felt the first undeniable pull of romance. Her heart, guarded for so long, began to open in ways she hadn't thought possible. Without thinking, she leaned closer, her eyes searching his for confirmation. Daniel met her halfway, their lips brushing in a tender, heartfelt kiss. It wasn't rushed or dramatic. It was gentle, filled with the unspoken feelings they had both been afraid to acknowledge. When they pulled back, both were slightly breathless. Mary's cheeks were warm, but she wasn't sure if it was the cold or the kiss. "Daniel, it's unexpected," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "But it feels right." "It feels right to me too," he replied, his eyes never leaving hers. "I've never been more certain of anything." That night marked the beginning of their romantic journey. It wasn't just the kiss, it was the realization that their connection was deeper than either of them had imagined. They knew it wouldn't be easy, but in that moment, under the glowing lights of Bryant Park, they decided to take the leap together,